Hello, this is Jeremy Coates, and thank you for joining me in the third episode of the Innovative Marketer podcast. Today, we're going to go over the second phase of the Innovative Marketing Trinity. It's the Customer Value Optimization section. This podcast is dedicated to the entrepreneurs that are trying to make a difference in the world. I am your biggest fan, and here's to dominating your personal and professional lives. Hello, my name is Jeremy Coates, and thank you for listening to the Innovative Marketer podcast. It is not always the best product or services that will dominate an industry. And over the last 20 years, I've learned through my experiences and from the best leaders, copywriters, and entrepreneurs in the world on what it takes to dominate in any given industry. After studying all of the pains and challenges that entrepreneurs face, there are three areas that are crucial for their salvation. We call it the Innovative Marketing Trinity. Innovative marketers build their life around leadership, customer value optimization, and systems that allow them to create and have the life of their dreams. We do this because we feel it is our responsibility to improve the lives of those around us. This includes more than just our clients, but our families and teammates as well. We are innovative marketers, and welcome to our podcast. Today we're going to be covering some key topics, and I want to go over them really briefly. There is a few of them, and we're going to go over what assessments are and how they're going to help you with your business. We're also going to go over researching your target market and how in depth we're going to discuss researching. We're also going to go over customer avatars and some of the demographics and psychographics for your best clients and top prospects. We're going to cover unique selling propositions and value statements per marketing segment. We're also going to be talking about a fundamental principle called customer value optimization. We're going to talk about what that is and why it's foundational to what you're going to be doing in your business. This is the principal foundation for building an unstoppable business and one that you can scale. We're also going to discuss direct response copywriting, what that is and why it is so important in the overall picture of running a business. And we're also going to go over content marketing and why it's the best overall strategy to build a business, that always has a constant stream of warm leads. And we're also going to briefly discuss KPIs, your key performance indicators, and all the data sources a little bit more. But before I get started, I want to discuss how important this section of the Innovative Marketing Trinity is. Innovative Marketing Trinity consists of three parts. Personal development or your leadership. The customer value optimization is the second one, which is the section we're going to be discussing today. And also the third one is your systems and automation on the back end. I want you to know that you can make a lot of mistakes. You can make a lot of mistakes in business. In fact, if you get the marketing and sales right, you will survive the learning curve because you will have cash flow, and cash flow is key. But I will say that you can get the marketing and sales right, but you won't fully reach your potential unless you do focus on your leadership. You'll hit that lid like John Maxwell talks about, and you won't have the systems on the back end of your business to make things a little more smooth where you're not working, 100 hours a week. So if you remember anything from today, just remember that marketing and sales are that important. Nothing happens until a sale is made. And as Henry Ford once said, stopping marketing to save money is like stopping your watch to save time. So with that being said, marketing and sales aren't the only thing that are very important, but they are up there. I remember my sales career when I was starting off. I pretty much had to generate all my leads myself, going either door to door or networking and, just meeting people at random or pitching my friends or family or people at gas pumps or at the mall. I was terrible at it, so I studied a lot. And then many years down the road, probably about in 2009, I stumbled across a book. It was from Mike Dillard. It was called magnetic sponsoring, and it changed the way that I looked at sales and business. And Mike Dillard is probably the one person that I can give credit to for introducing me to direct response copywriting. Him and Ben Settle are probably the first two people that I would listen to talk about copywriting. And then, of course, Brian Clark from Copy Blogger. Back in 2009 is when I started studying copy. And I also started reading Dan Kennedy, some of his books and training. And I think Dan Kennedy also wrote a book or a program about magnetic marketing. But copywriting led me to a really important fact about sales. When you know how to attract prospects that are already looking for what you have to sell, it makes things a lot easier and fun. You don't have to do it like I did, the hard way. I would go out and try and convince people that I had, what I had to sell. People that I had, what I had to sell, they needed, back in the in the late 90s and early 2000s, I would try and, I'd read books, and I just thought I could ask people enough questions and uncover their needs. But later on in my career, I learned about being a master closer and learning the master closing techniques, and sure, these skills will help a lot, but that isn't the missing piece, or at least it wasn't for me. So before I get carried away, let's get started on our topics that we're going to cover in future episodes. I want you to understand that this episode, we're going to cover very briefly what the topics in this section are going to be covered. And I know it's a lot. It's a lot of information. I wanted to make sure that when I did put this podcast together, that I had something very detailed and very informative. I didn't want to have, just a one topic thing to cover. I just feel that these three areas are crucial for any entrepreneur or business owner to reach their full potential. So, like I said, before I get carried away, let's get started on our topics in this customer value optimization section of the Trinity. Now, let me ask you a question. When you go to a doctor, what do they typically do after you give them your name and your insurance information? They do a basic assessment, right? Once you go in the back, they check your vitals, they weigh you, they do a really quick assessment. Most of the doctor offices that you go to do those assessments really quickly, and they're all very similar. Now, assessments are important. I think we can all agree to that, but how many people have a written or some type of formal assessment that they use every day in all of their processes of marketing and sales? So let me go back to my doctor example. Imagine the last time you went into the doctor's office, and I know, you know what they did when you went to the office. They all did the basic SOP, as we call it, standard operating procedures, all the basic questions, and most of them are very simple. They all do that. You're not going to give them the information, if you don't give them the information that they need to run your insurance and your basic information, this is a problem, right? Because they're not going to be able to give you a solid assessment or give you some type of plan to fix what is broken with you if you're sick. So the entire process will be messed up from the first part, right? You'll end up getting a huge bill in your mail. Your insurance won't cover the bill, and you get it just spirals out of control. They will probably give you medicine that's not going to make the problem go away. In fact, it might make things worse. People and business owners and entrepreneurs make these mistakes in their marketing and sales all the time. And then their businesses will start slipping, and they say that marketing and sales don't work. But let me tell you a story about a doctor, and some of you will know this guy. He's well known. This is a story about a doctor. He's a published author as well. His name is Atul Gawande. Now, he wrote a few books, and one of them is called the Checklist Manifesto, How to Get Things Right. Now, Atul Gawande is known for bringing checklists into the industry for doctors, saying that our great struggle in medicine these days is not with just the ignorance and uncertainty that goes on in it. It's also with the complexity and how much you have to make sure that you have in your head, and you're thinking about all the 1,000 ways that things can go wrong. And what's really cool about what he talks about is the fact that most doctors need 10 or so years of experience to know enough to make quick decisions in those situations. But in some situations, mistakes will be made because the current stress level or workload is too high, right? So Atul Gawande also says that he has actually worked with Boeing so they could show him how to use checklists in flight and make sure that he was doing it right. But he said it only took a few minutes for them to explain how they used it, and once he incorporated these practices in his profession, the results were very impressive. Doctors would catch mistakes before they happened, and in some cases, it was a careless or stupid mistake that could have cost someone their life. Now, I know that we're talking about marketing and sales, and this isn't the automation and systems section of the Trinity yet. We will discuss systems and automation in the next episode, but I personally feel like this is a good section for us to bring up the assessments, because marketing and sales, you have to incorporate this principle in there from the get-go. In order to do marketing right, you have to go through these checklists and systems and make sure that you don't make those stupid mistakes too, because people's lives are in fact at stake. Just like a surgeon can cost someone a life mistake, a bad marketing campaign can affect thousands of people, if not more. With this being said, most people think checklists are probably a waste of time, and some of these doctors that Gawande was incorporating these checklists with, they thought they weren't necessary either. In fact, some of these doctors thought the idea was dumb. But however, when these same doctors were asked if they were having surgery performed on themselves, would they want the checklist used for their surgery? 94% of those same doctors that thought it was dumb, said they would want their doctors to use the checklists. So assessments are very important. And I don't want to cover this information too much right here. I want to get to the other topics we're going to cover, but I want to make this point clear. If you're not using assessments, you want to get into the habit of doing so. And it's very easy to do. We're going to go over these assessments in later episodes. We're going to cover different ways of going through your assessments and for your business, how it's going to help. We will cover the different ways that you go through the assessments and so you can know that things are working and what isn't working, and maybe uncover some of the things that you haven't tried yet. The key to this document, the flow of things, it helps with the flow of things that work, and all the mistakes made should be put into assessments so they can be avoided. Assessments are something that it's a constant renewal. You'll always kind of update them. So every stage of the sales process is a good place to run any type of assessment available, or a checklist. And another important point I want to make, when you learn how to do these assessments and which direction people are going, and that is how you are also starting to move into the automation stage of your business. That is when you can actually start building a team, and once the team is, you recruit the team, these assessments and these checklists and systems will already be in place. That's why you also want to start using these before you start hiring out. But we're going to cover a lot of this in the third section of the Trinity, in the systems and the automation. But for now, let's go on to the next thing we're going to discuss in this CVO phase, as I call it, the customer value optimization. We take the focus from the business to the potential client base and customers or current customers. Research covers researching your competition and other large groups of people that are already looking for your offers. Research is very important because it opens up a lot of opportunities that you may not be aware of in several areas. Things like what your target market is looking for. Who are they and what do they look like? What keeps them up at night? Are there offers that they are already looking for but they can't find? What are some of the ways you can position yourself as a better choice over your competition? It is important to research your market at least a few times a year, if not more, because Trends will change. The prices of things change. Marketing changes. Everything changes so much that it's so important that you research your market on a constant basis or consistent basis. You don't just do it once and then quit. When markets change, the real big money is made and saved when you stay ahead of what current market trends and changes are coming up. So, in other words, you want to try and stay ahead of anything in the market that may happen. This way, you stay a leader in your industry. Now, we're going to discuss ways you can research your market, and I want to simplify this and show you the different sections of research that you'll want to do. Now, I've probably taken 5 or 6 courses that cover research, and I used to get confused because they show you what to do and where to do it, but they really don't give you the reasons why you were looking for certain information. And I think it's important to know why you are looking for all of the information that you're looking for, what to look for, and why it's important to find. If you don't know the why, it's easy to give up or skip this step. Like I mentioned, you're not just going to look up your competition and their websites. You're going to go deeper than that. You're going to look for things like their USP, or do they even have one? What are their value statements? You want to look at what type of offers they have and what are they currently using? What type of warranties do they have? What kind of guarantees do they offer? Sign up for their weekly newsletters, their email lists or whatever. You want to learn as much as you can about them, and in your mind, pretend that you're a customer or a client of theirs. What would you like for that business to do that would meet your needs better? We're going to talk about ways to tap into your submarkets and that you may not be aware of, because submarkets are also ways that you can introduce yourself and your content into another market and bring their awareness of you and your product. Also ways that you can introduce yourself and your content into another market and bring their awareness of you and your products. You raise their awareness of you so they know, like, and trust you. And then when you do put out offers, it's just easier for them to move forward with it because they already know who you are. Now, the next thing we're going to discuss would be customer avatars. After we do the research section, you'll have all the tools and things that you need to get started on segmenting your different markets into categories and develop a customer avatar for each. Now, when you first do this, you'll want to only do a couple of avatars. You don't need to get too busy with too many different avatars because you'll get frustrated when you start having to build out that many campaigns for each. You just want to start with probably 2 at the most, starting off. Now, customer avatars will give you the information you need to and use when and in your headlines and offers and all the other forms of content and copy that you'll be writing. The customer avatar should be as detailed as possible so multiple offers and split tests can be tried. And the more detail this customer avatar has, the easier it is to make and create the content on the back end that will resonate with them. So after we finish the customer avatar section, we're going to move on to the unique selling propositions and value statements. Now, a unique selling proposition will be the foundation of most of your marketing material. This is how you will set yourself apart from your competition and clearly explain the benefits your prospect will experience should they do business with you. Value statements are similar to unique selling propositions, and they are used at different types of, in different types of marketing campaigns. At different statements will be your direct response copywriting. Direct response copywriting is foundational for this section of the Trinity, just like leadership is for the first phase of the Innovative Marketing Trinity. And I've studied copywriting way back in the day, probably about 4 years, until I finally broke down and invested money into learning it from a professional company. And I studied from people like Dan Kennedy and Ben Settle and David Garfinkel and a few other people like that, Bob Bly, but my skills really skyrocketed when I joined AWAI, the American Writers and Artists, Inc. AWAI, they really break it down very differently from other courses and companies that I joined to learn copywriting. They would break it down into very detailed portions of places and situations that you use copy. I've hired a lot of situations that you use copy. I've hired a lot of copywriters in the past, and I've done a lot of the marketing, with other agencies, just to try them out to see what they knew and how they operated. And a lot of them did not use the tricks and tips that I learned at AWAI when it came to direct response copywriting. If you're going to be doing copywriting yourself, you definitely got to learn it. If you're going to outsource it, you need to learn it just so you know how to spot a good copywriter from a bad one. It's good to get referrals as long as they have good experience and reviews and the exact type of copy that you need. And what I mean by that is you don't want to hire a white paper copywriter to do your email copy or unless they have experience with that, because all copy is a little bit different. It's not necessarily the same, especially because you got to think about you're moving people through your customer value optimization. Everyone's awareness will be different throughout that stage, and everyone needs to know, or the copywriters need to know what stage of your CVO you're in, and you just need to make sure that you're hiring a niche copywriter, because some copywriters are not good at all things. They're only very niched into one thing. So I think that copywriting, it's the skill of knowing direct response copywriting is going to be more of a necessity in the future to cut through all the noise and help people find what they're looking for. If you haven't noticed, marketing is only going to become bigger and bigger with time. I just think that having this skill of communications and direct response copywriting is going to be more important for you to learn, especially from somebody that knows how to teach it. Now, we will cover the different applications, like I mentioned, with email copy, sales letters, sales letters which are long and short. We'll do video sales letters, webinar scripts, and most importantly, your headings and your landing pages that convert. We're going to go over all that stuff in later episodes when we're talking about this section. So the next section for the CVO part of the Trinity will be your content. Now, this is how you produce and distribute large amounts of communications to your prospects and target markets, so that it positions you in a person of authority while building a relationship with the prospect and the communities. The content marketing does overlap in some areas like social media marketing, but if you have great content, it's easier to build an engaged audience and also nurture them and build a relationship with them where they know, like, and trust you. Content marketing is, in a sense, a mix between advertising and publishing. So when you are building your brand around your personality, and your personality is, around your favorite audience, you not only position yourself as an expert and a person of authority, but you also build a warm group of people that you will be able to advertise to, your paid ads and your traffic, and you can market that to people that already know, like, and trust you. So this will increase your conversion rates, and it will raise your return on investment, and it also raises the value of each client. So to sum up content marketing, I won't say that content is king, because it's not always entirely true. If content is king, distribution is queen, and their children is the quality of the content. So there is definitely a lot of sections, and content is very, very, very important. I want to reiterate that. And I know that there's I follow a lot of big name people out there, and I learn something from everyone, and I've learned from one of my coaches when I was in my early 20s. He once said that sometimes the best way to show someone how to do something is show them the wrong way to do it. And that's how a lot of people, they'll say you just want to put out tons of content. I really think that you need to make sure that before you get to this content section, you know how to research your markets, you know how to design your avatars, know who you're talking to. Don't just get out there and blast everybody with everything you can think of. Be smart about it, because once you start down that road, you can't come out twice. If you're not known right now to a large group of audiences, once you come out, it's just like a first impression. You want to make sure you're doing it. So, I think I went off topic just a little bit there, but like I said, don't just say content is king. Distribute it everywhere and hope because you are louder than everyone, you'll have more content and you'll win. You need to have that plan and schedule your content around certain events or holidays, and make sure it's high quality and high in quantity, and distribute it in the ways that makes the most sense to the people that are reading it. And remember this, the person that dominates the content game, write this down, the person that dominates the content game, that has the conversation domination, that does three things. They lead in the amounts of the content that they produce, and they give away the most valuable, as Russell Brunson says, give away more for free than your competition charges for, and they distributed their content far and wide with the systems and the automations. The people that do these three things are typically the ones that are dominating their market space in their industry. And this is a very important point that I want you to remember in this section. Okay, so the next thing we're going to cover is your data and your company's key performance indicators. Now, I can tell you a ton of stories about me learning this stuff when I was in my early 20s, 20 years ago. I'll spare you the details, but sadly, most people don't understand data and key performance indicators. These are the people that cut back on marketing, or they don't see value in the marketing right away. I follow a lot of groups, and I see some people wanting to cut back on campaigns because their conversion rate on a landing page is 1%. And, I don't want to get into a side tangent here, but if you're converting at a 1%, and, you might be paying $50 a lead, it depends on a lot of other factors. I mean, I have, I don't want to say high ticket offers, but we do have, some of the deals that we sell are $60,000 and we'll make $20,000 a profit, right? So I can literally afford to spend $10,000 on acquiring one new client and still double my money. So just knowing that simple fact, what if I looked at my conversion rate on a landing page and was like, damn, man, I'm only converting 1%. I'm $50, $100 a client or a lead is just too much. But I can afford to spend $10,000 on just one close and double my money. You know what I'm saying? So you got to know the key performance indicators for your business. Like I said, sadly, a lot of people don't understand it. A lot of people don't understand it. A lot of companies and courses that I've taken really just breeze through this part. And remember that famous quote that I said from Henry Ford. And let me remind you, stopping marketing to save money is like stopping your watch to save time. We're going to be discussing a lot of the important data to follow and what key performance indicators you need to watch that will tell you when you're ready to scale and when you're ready to scale back. Because don't get me wrong, I mean, a lot of your campaigns, just go ahead and get it in your mind. You're going to launch a lot of campaigns that are not going to give you the results that you want. So you're going to try to scale them up. And then when you see that the numbers aren't there, you're going to have to scale back and figure out what's wrong with your funnels. All businesses need to know this data. The data is how you can forecast and plan your future decisions. It's also how you will avoid some of the tragedies that may be lurking in the future. So if you don't know how to read the data, or you're reading your information, you're misinformed. If your data is not entirely tracked correctly, this can cause you to scale back when you should be scaling up. So every business has key performance indicators or influences that tells the story of how well their business is doing. And when you know your data, that's when you know the true status of your business and how well it's doing and when you can scale up. So the next topic we're going to be discussing is a big one. It's called traffic. And some people relate traffic to SEO, but there are really three types of traffic that you want to be aware of. And we're going to discuss all three types of traffic. I don't like using the term free traffic. I hear a lot of big name people say free traffic, but in reality, there really isn't anything. There's really nothing. There's no true free traffic. Most free traffic still costs you a lot of time to make and distribute. But for the sake of keeping the dream alive for free traffic, I'll refer to it as free traffic, okay? So most people say that once you get your content strategy in place and start building it, your SEO starts kicking in, your search traffic starts producing results, you'll have the free traffic coming in. So that's what we'll refer to as free traffic, the content and the SEO portions of it. The second type of free traffic, free meaning to social media distribution, all that stuff. But the second type of traffic is going to be paid traffic, things like Facebook ads, and their Facebook ads, AdWords, and other type of paid forms of advertising. That is going to be your paid traffic. Now, this is the type of traffic that you want because this will be in the form of your tribe or your audience that you've built, or your Facebook group, or your email lists. These are people that already kind of know, like, and trust you. And this is a great point to pause, and I want to point out this important point right here you want to remember. There's another reason that you want to own your own traffic, and this is the best type, and here's why. If you're ever interested in being able to, be in a position to sell your business for millions and millions of dollars, this is the type of traffic that you want. And some people might ask, why is that? Because people buying companies, they buy them for two reasons: their list and the type of traffic that they own. And also, they usually will have a conversion funnel that has a self-liquidating offer at the front end and systems on the back end. Those are the kind of businesses that everybody will fight tooth and nail over to buy. We're going to cover a lot of that stuff in later episodes, but that's a very important point I want to make with traffic and content. Most of the companies that do get bought out for millions and millions have that conversion funnel that automatically sells their services or their products to a list that they own, and they have systems and automation on the back end. This should be every business's goal, and in your marketing and sales plan, this should be what you're focused on. These are the points that we're going to be talking about and discussing in the future episodes. This is the foundation of what customer value optimization is. Traffic is essentially the lifeblood of a business, but it takes the conversion funnel to make to double the money that you're investing into the marketing. And traffic is usually built around the content that a business has, whether it's paid or free traffic. And that's why most people content that a business has, whether it's paid or free traffic. And that's why most people, say that they have a traffic problem, but it's not necessarily a traffic problem. They don't have the right content and distribution that creates the traffic. And that's usually what the problem is. Traffic is usually the easiest thing to build if you do all the other steps that we're going to discuss in the right order. It takes having these assessments and checklists and research, creativity and thought, and the customer avatar planning, and obviously implementing, the right customer value optimization plan and sales funnels in the right order. Having a right lead magnet and offers in the top part of the funnel. But there's other types of marketing and sales things like social media management, blogging, doing video sales letters, webinars. We're going to cover a lot of those tactics also because they will all come into play in your customer value optimization strategy. Now, there's one thing that I've learned about teaching and learning direct response marketing and customer value optimization. Nobody can be an expert in all of it. And a lot of the times, the people that I would train from would leave some of the important aspects out, or I just couldn't tie it all together. But the one thing that I will say this, if you don't have a checklist to do the assessments, you will miss things. And if you have these assessments and systems and a blueprint like the Innovative Marketing Blueprint, you will have everything that you'll need to plan out your strategies, your tactics, and you won't miss anything. Now, there's obviously a lot of topics and tactics in this section of the the Trinity. We just covered a lot of those topics, and let me just briefly cover them again so you can know what to expect in future episodes. We're going to be going over lists and such. We're going to discuss researching and the different types of researching and why you're going to be researching for certain information and how you can use that information. We're going to go over customer avatars, how to describe your 3D avatar and use not just demographics and psychographics, but a lot of other important information to speak directly to those people. We're going to go over unique selling propositions and value statements and how to craft your message that your entire business will be focused around. We're going to discuss customer value optimization, which is essentially your formula for building an unstoppable business. We're going to go over direct response copywriting and the different skills in each type of niche of copy. We're also going to go over content marketing, how you can dominate the conversation in your target market. And we're also going to go over key data and other traffic sources. And obviously we will be discussing a lot more, but these are going to be the core topics. Now, some of the marketing tactics will fall over into the third section of the Innovative Marketing Trinity, which is the system and automation section. But here's a short list of what we're going to be discussing in this next episode, which we're going to go over what the third section of the Trinity will be discussing. We're going to go over things like cash flow systems, recruiting and training systems, project management systems, content producing systems, communication systems, and software and apps. Now, in case you haven't already, download these first 4 episodes and really get a good understanding of what we're going to be covering. I know there's a lot. I know these first 4 episodes are crammed with information and I'm all over the place. But I really think that it's going to set the foundation for what we're building in these future episodes. It may be a good idea to come back and listen to them so you kind of have an understanding of where we're taking this podcast. I want you to listen to them and get a good understanding because we're going to be covering a lot of information over the next year or so. Thank you for listening to the Innovative Marketer Podcast. This is Jeremy Coates, and this podcast covers the 3 phases of the Innovative Marketing Trinity. The first phase is leadership, which includes taking responsibility, finding your purpose, your dream, learning to grow into the leader that can develop other leaders and build teams. The second phase is customer value optimization, which includes assessments, research, describing your perfect client avatars, USPs, direct response copywriting, designing content that drives traffic, and how to read data and key performance indicators so you know how to scale and when to scale back. The third phase is the automation systems, where you learn cash flow systems, project management systems, content producing systems, communication systems, and the software and apps that will help you achieve your greatness. I encourage you to download the episodes and listen to them again, and leave me a review, good or bad. I'm here to help anyone that wants to get better, and I am also on a growth plan of my own, so let's take this journey together. If you have any questions or suggestions, you can email me at jeremy@innovativemarketing.com.